Please help me welcome Mr. James Luttrell.
Thank you very much. This is truly an honor. And like previous speakers, when I read the accomplishments of the other inductees, I was even more humbled. And this is very meaningful. Thank you. There is, however, if I could still humbly assert this, that there's an accomplishment that sets me apart from all the other inductees here, and especially the other athletes that are here. As an athlete, I was a Little Giants on the Little Giants JV team. I held down the 11th man position on that team in 1972. It's not easy to be a valuable key 11th man on a basketball team. Early on in the season, I was asked at one point to join the wrestling team. But not by Mr. Andrews, the wrestling coach. I was asked by Mr. Stu Miller, the basketball coach, my coach, if I would join the wrestling team. Mr. Randolph, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Suter have never had that honor. In 1964, my parents moved here. It's great to have my dad here. My mom is not able to be here, but thank you for the... You know, they brought our sisters, my sisters, myself here because he got a job at Marion College. He was Dean of Students. John Ernest tells me that he was on the Dean's list every semester at Marion College. Most of those on the Dean of Students list, one time on the academic dean list. But they never saw a distinction between campus and community. It was all the same to them, and they invested in this community. I'm very thankful. My sister Cheryl was able to attend. Thank you for coming. My fifth sister, Connie, who's really my cousin, but she's like a fifth sister to me, is here, and her husband Gary, and I appreciate that. Our neighbor, Jim Fuller. It's good to have a neighbor who's a friend as well, and it's great to have their support. Technically, my years at Marion High School were 71 to 74. I've got at least one classmate, class 74, Dave Campbell here. It's great. Dave and I were neighbors in 1964 when we first moved to town. His family helped welcome us. But really, I had an older sister in the class of 70, Sandy, and so really I had 3 high school experiences. Her years of 67 to 70, my years, and then our son's years. And I can tell you, when Joe started that chant, I don't think I've heard that for all those years, 40 years, and that was so moving to me. We want them, we want them, we want the Giants now. That was another chant we would say before they came out of the locker room. And I have snippets of memories from those years. I wasn't even at high school yet. That packed and thunderously loud Coliseum. Those names being announced: Suter, Price, Townsend, Myers, Gunn, who did I forget? Townsend, Price, they get them all. And then Stewart and Pettiford and Chin and all those great players on the bench that came in and contributed. J.K. and Jeff Wingo and I would volunteer as water boys, 8th and 9th graders, for the football team, and we would go to those Thursday night practices when they lit up the McCullough Field, and the team would work out, that undefeated team. They were just heroes of ours. My Fair Lady, I think it was like 1968 maybe. I don't know if any of you were. I fell in love with Eliza Doolittle. And I have this memory of Mr. Archie. I must have been in 7th or 8th grade, and I just remember him striding across the field from one side of the track to the other, determined, clipboard in hand, and he was concerned about something, but there he was, just embodying excellence. I'll never forget that. So that was my first Marion High School experience. I wasn't even in high school. Then later, when our sons went through high school, we had that experience. And Debbie, just a girl from Kansas, became a big, giant fan as her sons started going through school. Andrew, in class of 2002, who after 10 years of living and studying and teaching in Australia, brought his Australian family here, and now he teaches at Justice. Daniel, class of 2005, after spending some time at Baylor and then at Peace Corps, is getting his PhD at Case Western. Peter, 2008 class, he got his master's in jazz studies this year at Michigan State, their excellent jazz school. Each of them would say, along with me, we owe Marion High School an awful lot for what we've been able to accomplish by preparing us. There's an African proverb that is as powerful as it is brief that says, I am because we are. I am because we are. And it speaks of the power of community. Joe and Sharon and Avis have already spoke to that. I'd like to speak about it from a little bit different perspective. I've been a prosecutor for 35 years. I wanted to get a few years of trial experience, and then it just turned into a career. Prosecutor is three things. It's a servant of the law, a shepherd of justice, and a storyteller. Not a servant of the law, not partisanship, but everybody equally, fairly. A shepherd of justice meaning leading, cajoling, encouraging, inspiring law enforcement to find the truth and to do the right thing. A storyteller, to take those facts within the law and tell the victim's story in a way that justice can be done. I've strived to do that, and as I strive to tell crime victim stories, I was prepared and inspired to do so by Marion High School, my mentors, my classmates, the skills and virtues and life lessons that they had and emphasized in the classroom, in the cafeteria, in the school, on the school bus, on athletic fields. I learned to love writing at the survey, the school paper. I learned to love literature and Shakespeare and Sue Keefer's English class. I learned to love learning in Mike Crouch's psychology class. And I learned principles of leadership from Dick Persinger and Jack Colescott. I learned about competition from Dick Lutz. We have a courthouse in the middle of town. It used to have a dome on it. And on that dome used to be a statue of Lady Justice. It galls me that we don't have that statue or that dome any longer. But it's better that we have men and women of justice walking our streets than we simply have a statue on top of our building. There was a grandmother not long ago from Noblesville, Dorothy Hurd, who went missing. Her family was frantic. Months later, her skeletal remains were found in Grant County. The Hamilton County cops were amazed at the dedication and commitment by Grant County criminal justice and the Grant County courts to see that justice was done for Dorothy. This is our case, they said. Why are you working so hard? I said, get out of here. This is our case. They bruised and battered and burned a little girl who didn't matter to anyone who knew her, but she mattered to us. That desire to make a difference and to protect and to tell kids they matter. I was taught that in Marion community schools by people who embodied that type of care. It didn't matter where you came from. A teen was gunned down some years ago in Marion, and all the witnesses were intimidated. There were several. They were intimidated into silence, but one little girl, a freshman at Marion High School, had the courage to stand up and say, I saw it, it wasn't right, and I'll tell. And she needed someone to stand behind her. My courage doesn't even hold a candle to hers, but I was there to help encourage her and to exalt what she was doing for our community. I think if I could be presumptuous, I'd speak for all of the inductees by saying, in the words of novelist Marilyn Robinson, who wrote in her book, Gilead, speaking about small town values, she said, "Precious things have been put into our hands, and to do nothing to honor them is to do great harm." All of us inductees wish to do something with the precious gifts that have been given to us by Marion High School. We hope that we honor them. I know I hope to honor them. Thank you very much.